Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Road Coach Podcast, the show where I share what I have learned from years of living on the road through research and experimentation, so that if you are like me and you spend a lot of time away from home, you can not only survive, but thrive, even when you are out of your element. And it's been a while since I've posted an episode because I have been going through a lot of changes in my life, and I'm currently taking some time off of the road to regroup and recharge and spend some time with family. If you are an avid listener of this show, then you probably spend a lot of time on the road just like me. And if you have a family and you have children, you notice that very quickly your children start to grow up without you there, and you miss a lot of milestones. And so part of it, part of it is time to reflect and recharge. Part of it is to figure out how much time I really want to continue spending on the road after 4 straight years of basically living out of a suitcase, anywhere between 50 to 80% of my life. I'm taking a month or two to sit back and recharge and really decide how much time I can handle on the road and how much time my family deserves to have me at home. And if you spend a lot of time on the road, you've probably struggled with this as well. And if you have the ability to take some time and reflect and decide if this is what you really want for the rest of your life, then I advise you to take it and spend some time figuring this out. So if you're wondering why I haven't posted an episode in a while, it's because I'm taking some time to figure things out and decide what's really most important in life. But I'm back with this episode because the knowledge for those of you that are on the road and the learning should never stop. And I decided with this one coming back after, almost a month hiatus, I would say. At this point, I didn't actually go back and check, but we're probably close to that. I thought, if I go through a lot of the things that I do for my nutrition and health and exercise and mental health and all that kind of stuff in various episodes. But to create the perfect nutrition plan, especially when you're on the road, it takes a lot of money. And not a lot of people have disposable income these days. Interest rates are, for most of us at an all-time high for our lifetimes. I'm 37 and this is definitely the highest they've gotten in my lifetime. And so it's put a real crunch, on our budget at home. Our cost of living has almost doubled. Food prices have gone up. The cost of fuel has skyrocketed. And a lot of people are feeling the crunch these days. And so how do you go about, optimizing your nutrition and your health and your well-being while also not breaking the bank? And I think that's an important topic for a lot of people, especially those that spend a lot of time on the road. And those who kind of want, what are the basics? What do I really, really need to focus on if I want to get the most bang for my buck and not take every single supplement and be perfect in my nutrition? What are the key pillars here to ensure the best results for the least amount of money and expended effort and the least amount of research that I have to do? So that's what I wanted to talk about today, is what are those things that I think are the key things. If I had, very limited funds and I could only add a few key things to my supplement and nutrition plan, how would I do it? And how would I do it most cost effectively? So that's what I wanted to talk about today. The first thing I would do, I think the most important thing you can add to your plan is a good multivitamin. Most of us, especially on the road, do not get proper nutrition because we're constantly eating out at restaurants. And it's very difficult to get the right mix of vitamins and minerals and macros and all those kinds of things. And we've talked about how difficult it is to track and how difficult it is to trust restaurant menus and all those things. So a good multivitamin, I think, is the first key thing to add to your stack of supplements throughout the day and on the road. Personally, I take the Progressive Men's Active Multivitamin. It is, I think, an all-around great product. It's got a lot of the key nutritional pillars in it that you need, and it's fairly cost effective. If you go to the Progressive website, I think it's progressivenutrition.com, but if you just Google Progressive Vitamins, the website will come up. They're very, very cost effective. So a large bottle of the active men's formula, I think, is about $40, and that'll get you a 30-day supply or so of those. Now, I don't take the full dose. The full dose is I believe it's 3 capsules per day. I take 2 capsules per day because well, I have a lot of other supplements that I take to make up for some of those deficiencies, and I'm pretty dialed in with my nutrition most days when I'm on the road. I know how to find the right foods and how to get the right nutrition. So this is just a bit of a buffer to me. So I take 2 capsules per day rather than the 3 that's written on the bottle for dosage. But the Progressive Men's Active Multi-Formula has been the best formula that I can find, and the most cost-effective formula that's well designed and consistently manufactured for me. There are other vitamins out there. Talk to your supplement, your trusted person at your supplement store if you don't like the Progressive product or you want to find something different. But I've tried lots of different multivitamins, and this seems to be the most consistent one that I can see benefits from taking, and no real side effects. There are other formulations, especially for people who are active or who are doing a lot of strength training or a lot of cardio. There's specific tailored multivitamins for those. However, I often find that they have very high amounts of specific nutrients, and they tend to give side effects for me even when I am active. I just find things get out of whack very quickly if I start taking them for more than a few days at a time. So the Progressive is a nice all-around product that gives you everything you need, but isn't overly high in any specific nutrient. It's just a general nutrition multivitamin. So I really, really like that one. I would highly recommend it if you haven't tried it. I'm not funded by these people. This has just been the best product that I have found. Anything that you listen to in any previous episode, if I'm recommending something, it's because of the research that I've done personally and the experience that I've had personally with the product. I'm not paid by any of these companies to talk about any of these products, just so that you're aware. The second thing that I would add that I think is very cost effective is a fish oil. Omega-3 fish oils. I did a series of episodes on omega-3 supplementation and fish oil. We don't get enough of it. We are very, very high in omega-6 in our diets. Everything that's processed contains a lot of omega-6 a lot of omega-6 fatty acids, and it's because everything is processed now and everything uses seed oils. So anything with seeds and nuts in it, your typical vegetable oils and canola oils that are in all of your foods now that are processed, they are very high on omega-6 fatty acids, and ideally we want to be at a 2-to-1 ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 at worst. There are various nutritional governing boards that state different ratios. The worst kind of recommended ratio would be 5-to-1 out there, I believe, and I can't remember what organization that is, but it's in a previous episode that I talked about. 5-to-1 is kind of the worst ratio you want of omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acids. And most of us on a typical North American Western diet, if we're eating out at restaurants, we're eating seed oils and we're eating processed foods, our ratios could be anywhere from like 10-to-1 up to like 30-to-1 of omega-6 to omega-3. So I believe that every single person in 2024, regardless of what you eat and how healthy you think your diet is, you take a fish oil supplement. It just has to be done today. And so how do you find a good fish oil that is cost effective? There are a lot of fish oil supplements out there, and there are a lot of different ways that they manufacture them and a lot of different contents that are in them. So there's a couple different routes you can go here. Krill oil tends to be the highest in omega-3, but it's also very expensive. And there are manufactured farmed fish oils that are not as high quality. And then there's wild, Atlantic salmon type fish oils that are a much higher quality as well. But then there's different capsules, right? Like you can get enteric capsules that don't dissolve as quickly with your stomach acid. And so some people complain that they get fishy burps, you get fishy aftertaste when you take a low quality capsule, because the capsule dissolves very quickly in your stomach. And then of course, if you burp, you're getting the taste of that fish oil that's in your stomach still before it's absorbed. So you may have to experiment a little bit with this, but the key thing that you want to get is the most cost-effective way to get your omega-3 um, your omega-3 for the day. And the more omega-3 you can get, the better, because you will always make up for it in omega-6 in your diet. So just jack up the omega-3 as much as you possibly can. And you may want to take, 2 or 3 times the dosage that's recommended on the fish oil that you buy for the first little while until you start to feel better. But fish oil is incredible for, omega-3 is incredible for your brain, essentially. So your mental clarity, your focus, if you feel like you have a mental fog, or that you're constantly, you can't think clearly, or you get that brain fog, or you feel tired, omega-3 to omega-6 ratio is probably out in your diet. So don't feel bad about taking more omega-3 than what a typical capsule will provide. You can double it up, you can triple it up. There are very little, if any, side effects to doing so, and your diet will almost always tip the scales in the other direction towards omega-6, unless you're not eating at all. So the fish oil that I currently take is a Life brand triple strength omega-3. Life brand is the brand from Shoppers Drug Mart here in Canada. If you're not from Canada, you probably don't have Life brand, but there'll be a similar house brand to any of your standard drugstores that you would have wherever you are. So like if you're in the States, Walgreens has a house brand. So just check it out and see what you see what's available. But typically the house brand is going to be the most cost-effective way to get your omega-3. And the reason I really like this one is the triple strength has 600 milligrams of EPA and 300 milligrams of DHA. So 900 total milligrams of omega-3 fatty acids. Which is a really, really good way to start your day in the direction of omega-3 being higher than omega-6. And then throughout the day, it sort of balances out as you begin to eat, because you're going to eat a lot of omega-6. So the reason that I like this Life brand, I used to take the GNC brand, triple strength omega-3, and it doesn't have as much omega-3 per capsule, but it is a really good product, and the capsule itself is very thick, so you don't get any fishy aftertaste. However, it is significantly more expensive, so that's why I switched to the Life brand. I get more omega-3 for less money, and I also don't get any fishy aftertaste, so it's a nice capsule. The bottle that I buy is 50, this is it right here actually. It's 50 capsules, and I think it's like 17 or 18 bucks. So it's very, very cheap to get into your diet. So those are the first two things. Multivitamin, less than $1 a day. Fish oil, less than $1 a day. And then the third thing I would put in your diet 100% is creatine monohydrate. Creatine, again, I've done a couple of episodes on this. I think everybody in the world should be taking creatine as a supplement. It is the most widely studied supplement on the market. There are hundreds of studies, clinical trials that have shown the benefits of creatine, and it's not just for those who are lifting weights. People think that creatine is something that you take, as a supplement to help you grow stronger, faster. And yes, it is very good for that. What creatine does in your body is it takes ATP. So what happens, the mitochondria of your cell produce ATP, adenosine triphosphate, and that's the energy molecule for everything that you do. Every interaction that creates or uses energy in your body uses ATP. And what happens is the adenosine triphosphate breaks off the phosphate molecule, creates an energetic reaction. You get to use that energy, and then it becomes adenosine diphosphate, and then your body can't use that again. It's got to go back in and be recycled and turned back into ATP. But what creatine does is it's able to use that ADP and use an additional phosphate to create more energy. So you get more energy out of every single molecule. So creatine is not just for weightlifters. Creatine will give every single person more energy and the ability to do more with less. So I highly recommend you take it. There's also a ton of studies with overall general health and creatine, cognitive function, memory, the delay in cognitive decline with elderly patients and dementia patients and Alzheimer's patients. Cognitive function is one of the biggest benefits to creatine, and so creatine is literally for everyone. And I really think that everyone should be taking it, and I will scream it from the mountaintops. So if you're not taking creatine, get a creatine supplement. It is very, very cheap. You can get a 2 or 3 month supply for $30 on Amazon. Monohydrate is the most widely studied version of it. There are different ways to get creatine, but creatine monohydrate is the cheapest, most widely studied, easiest form to take. There are, marketing marketing companies around creatine that will tell you to take different forms of it and different ways of getting it. Some people create capsules that don't dissolve in your stomach as quickly, and so they claim that you're going to get more of the creatine into your bloodstream if you take a capsule. That's not true. It's blatantly false. A creatine monohydrate powder will not break down in your stomach for about 12 to 24 hours. It's been studied, and you're going to absorb all of it within less time than that. It's going to be out of your stomach within, probably about 4 hours at the most. Again, for those of you who don't know, I'm in the gastroenterology field. We do capsule endoscopy, where you swallow a pill camera, and it tracks throughout your small intestine to see if there's anything going on there, any bleeding or ulceration or things like that. And 4 hours is about the maximum before your stomach empties into your first part of your small intestine, the duodenum. And so creatine swallowed as a powder is never going to break down in your stomach. You do not have to worry about it. Buy the cheapest form and just get the creatine however you can. You can look online to see how much creatine you need. Creatine is found in a lot of meats, but you'll never maximize your creatine stores in your muscles just by eating meat alone, unless you're eating like a whole chicken a day. Which is very difficult to do, obviously. Supplementing with creatine. Most people, I'm about 150 pounds, 5'7", so I don't need as much as a 250 pound person to saturate my muscles, but I take about 5 grams of creatine per day. And with the meat that I eat, it pretty much maximizes it out. You may need to take, 7.5 or 10 grams a day, but either way, it is super, super cheap. And I highly recommend that if you're only going to take a couple of supplements, multivitamin, fish oil, creatine are the top 3 for sure. And then, of course, for nutrition, high protein. Protein is the highest linked nutrient between protein, carbohydrates, and fat. It's the highest linked to satiety or feeling full. So get your protein first. Protein is the best way to keep yourself in a healthy body weight. It's also the best way to build muscle, and it also takes a lot more energy to digest it. So that's why it helps you feel fuller faster. Eat your protein first before your carbs. Get your protein for the day. If you're a heavy, strength trainer, or you do a lot of activity, try to aim for a gram of protein per pound of body weight that you have, and try and get those 150 grams of protein first. I've done a lot of episodes on protein. You can go back and check them out. The type of protein to eat, how quickly they're absorbed in your body, how bioavailable they are, how much of the protein that you actually absorb, the amino acid content. All of these are in previous episodes, so go back and take a look. But eat your protein first before your carbohydrates. If you get to the end of the day, and for me, I've had 150 grams of protein, maybe I will have some pasta or some rice with dinner, or maybe I'll eat some chips. That's perfectly okay. Every day can be a cheat day in some way. You don't have to be perfect, but get your protein first so that you get the nutrients you need. And I say before carbs, but I accept fruit and vegetables from those. I eat lots of fruit and vegetables, and I do not count those as part of my nutrition, period. Nobody gets fat from eating fruit and vegetables. So now that doesn't mean deep fried pickles at a restaurant. That's not fruit and vegetable. I mean actual whole fruits and vegetables. Eat as much of those as you want. Put them out in front of you at the start of your day, and just snack on them. But the protein is the key thing to get before you put the carbs into your diet. And then track your macros and your calories. Okay, you can look at exactly what any meal is in terms of protein, carb, and fat content, and where those calories are coming from. Make sure that the energy that you're getting from protein comes first, and that once you've got that majority in you, then you can transition and start to eat whatever you want, because you will not be able to overeat if you maximize your protein first. It's just impossible for anyone to do, and you will see a change very, very quickly if you do it that way. MyFitnessPal is your best friend when it comes to tracking your macros and your calories. I love this app. It literally has every food in it. Just make sure you start to learn your portion sizes, of course, because portion sizes can be deceiving, but every food from every brand all over the world pretty much is in there. And so you can put an entire meal in there and see what your macros look like, and it's completely free. You don't need to invest in the paid version to get the benefits of it. And once you start tracking for a couple weeks, you'll really see the benefits. So that's all for today. If you're like me and you're living on the road, I hope you're not only surviving, but thriving, even when you're out of your element.